Yay, it's weekend wind down with business coach Nancy. Happy to be here as always, my favorite time of the week. Welcome, Kate.
Hi, how's it going?
Good, let's do a cheers to weekend wind down.
Cheers to weekend wind down.
Weekend wind down. I'm going to take a sip.
It's only 3:30 here, so we're getting started early.
I know. Well, okay. I did open my wine a little bit early. So welcome everyone. Weekend wind down with business coach Nancy. I coach interior designers and other creative entrepreneurs. And I had an unbelievably productive week. And I played a little hooky today, to tell you the truth. I had a lot of personal things to do. I've been working really hard, of course, with my clients and in my Facebook group, Actionable Entrepreneurs. And I'm working on a new course that should be coming out in about a month. And I'm even going to tell you the title today, which I think I've only said live one other time. So it's called the Interior Design Profit Formula. Extend your reach, gain more clients, and double or triple your income in 90 days. So it's such a brain dump, and going through the whole process of creating this course, it's like every time the course people be like, okay, this is done, this module. I'm like, no, you need to add something else to that. Like I just dumping my whole brain into this, which is.
That's so fun.
It is, it's fun. But I'm really excited to have you here today to talk about your interior design practice that you had where you used to live, your new one now, and then in your new location. And then I really want to deep dive also into e-design, because you are so process driven that I think it's going to be a huge value to everyone who's watching who've been thinking about doing e-design. Sure. So introduce yourself, Kate, and then we'll get started.
Sure. Thanks for having me. So I'm Kate Bendewald. Kate Bendewald Interior Design is my company. I'm currently based out of Waco, Texas. I moved here just a few months ago from Denver, Colorado. And so I do e-design in addition to full service design. And I think that whether you already have e-design in your current menu of services or ladder of services, or you're thinking about adding it, I hope to maybe use this time as an opportunity to talk about what I do and my process. Maybe imperfect, but it's working for me. And so, yeah, I think it's a good thing to include in your services.
Yeah, and you know what? This is what I realize, and I teach my clients. Nothing's ever perfect, right? We're always tweaking it. We think we've got it down pat, and then a client comes along that's a little different or messes up your system, and you're like, you know what? I need to add that to my, welcome packet or service, or I have to take in account for that when I'm pricing. So anybody who teaches like, this is exactly the way you should do things, I think is like, I'm always so impressed with that. I'm like, really? Because there's so many ways to do things, and it's a constant learning going on. I mean, that's the way I feel.
Exactly. And I think once we start to talk, there will be some stories that come out about why I have certain ways of doing things, is typically a reaction of it either not going well or just having a realization along the way. So I certainly did come up with this overnight.
Yes, I know that. Okay, so I'm just going to say hi to Heather. Actually, Heather posted that before. That I posted in this Be Live about you moving to Waco, Texas, and like, how would you get ready to move? And she said, well, for starters, I'd opened an office a few years before, and I never got to respond to that because I played hooky today. But I thought to myself, yeah, wouldn't that be the ideal, right? If you could do that.
But we had about a month's notice that we were moving here, so.
So tell that story a little bit. Tell them about the firm you had before.
Sure. So I was in Denver, and right before we moved, I had gotten to a point where I was doing solely full service design, because I had plenty of work there doing that. And so I'd let my e-design service that I had been doing prior sort of go by the wayside. I took it off my website, and occasionally it would come up as an option for clients in sales calls. So I kept it in my back pocket, but it wasn't on my website. But it was flawed, and we could talk about that a little bit more. But when we learned that we would be moving and relocating across the country, I decided, well, first of all, I started working with you, and you really encouraged me to develop a menu or ladder of services, which has already proven to be the smartest move I could have made. So thank you. Yeah. So I brought back the e-design, and I basically I already had the bones of it there. I just took the copy that I had and I sort of polished it up and gave it a fresh face and a fresh name and relaunched it in a new way. But the idea is the same. So, but I would say that if I had it to do over again, I probably would never have taken that off of my menu of services in Denver and continue to brand myself as someone that offers e-design, because you really never know what life's going to throw at you, and it can be a way to keep you afloat during a transition period if you need to, whether it's having a baby, moving across the country, getting sick, and just being able to do like limited amount of work, or breaking a leg. I mean, I can just think of a lot of reasons why having an e-design service could make a lot of sense for you just from an insurance policy standpoint.
When you said the word transition, I thought to myself, it's so true, right? If you have children, you could get sick. They could get sick. You might have to take some time off. A parent could need you for a little while. There's so many transitions in life. It's kind of insane. Yeah. And to have that e-design as an insurance policy is a great tip. I love that.
Yeah, I hope to be able to push it a little bit more moving forward, but it's already starting to pan out. So,
but you took it off your menu. Why?
That's a good question. There was a good answer for that at the time. Was I was feeling frustrated by the way that projects were panning out. So what would happen, and that didn't have anything to do with the idea of e-design. It had more to do with the way I was running it. So what would happen was, first of all, you have to, I think, sort of field clients and see if they're a good fit for e-design, because not every client is. If you know that they're a busy professional with kids, like they probably need full service design. Yeah. But there are other that are more DIY motivated, or they're value driven. And so I would start with, make sure you suggest e-design to a client that is going to be a good fit, because they're certainly going to be taking on part of the work. I think that's probably a good point to just mention my definition of e-design, which I think is universal, but I shouldn't take that for granted. For me, e-design is, I work with my clients to develop a design for them that they can execute on their own, meaning I have them provide me with photos and dimensions of their space, and I can get into the details of that in a bit, but I give them instructions for how to do that. We also do a virtual tour, and once they give me that information and we have a long conversation about their design needs, then I put together a design for them that they can execute, meaning they purchase all of their own furnishings and they put it together. So that's my definition of e-design, just in case there were any questions about what that.
No, that's very good, because I actually have a client currently who is, why can't I remember the name of where there's a site where homeowners go for services, and they have to kind of respond, and a bunch of different people can respond. I just slipped my mind for a second. Thumbtack, thank you. Yes, so she's a part of Thumbtack, and people are looking for interior designers, and she's currently responding with kind of like an e-design option. And I thought to myself, well, he didn't ask for e-design, so why are you suggesting e-design? And it's fine. It's, like we all learn all the time, but we want to kind of tweak it to, was he close enough to be full service? And if he was, why didn't you offer him that? But if you're looking to build your e-design service, my thoughts are, make the contact first, sell him on you and what you can do for him. And you can always offer the e-design as a second choice if he so chooses. But like, selling yourself first is important.
Yeah.
Rather than go, and I've said this to you before. I was gonna Don't offer all your ladders of service. Don't go, well, I could do e-design, I can do in-home, I can do
do
this.
it all.
Right, I can do it all, whatever you need. My point is always, just like when someone calls me for coaching, well, how much do you charge? Well, it depends on what you need, right? You can
Right.
speak to me once a month, twice a month, or you could go into one of my groups. Excuse me, I have a hair in my mouth. Hi, Kiki. Hi, Kristen. Hi, Heidi. I'm just saying hi to people. You know what? This is going to be a lot about e-design, guys. So if you want to share it, share away. If you see me looking around, that's what I'm doing, by the way. I'm sharing on my personal page, and I'm trying to share on the group. So to me, sell them on the dream of what they're looking for first. Yeah. And then they're already going to be like, she gets it, or he gets it. He gets me just by reading the description in Thumbtack. I'm regurgitating, I hear what you need. I see what you need. Can I ask you why it's important to you now, right? All my little tips. And then you can say, this could also work for you if you so choose, rather than jumping, right into, well, I can do it e-design. To me, that's leading a little bit with, this is what I want to do for you. I don't want to go to your house. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And obviously geography plays into that as well.
Of course. This was somebody who was more local to her. But anyway, do you only try to sell e-design to people who have approached you for e-design?
No. Well, so it's, if I know they're local, I don't lead with e-design. I lead with my 2-hour consultation in person. If they're remote, then it's pretty obvious.
I'm doing that, guys, because that's what I teach, right? When they
everything I know.
I'm so glad you absorbed a lot of what we went over. But you know what? They contact you. Your first step is just to sell them into your 2-hour consult. Your 1.5 to 2-hour consult. So, okay, go back quickly though. You are in your old location, you're overwhelmed, you had staff. How did you get to that?
Well, so I don't think I actually answered your first question, which was, why did you stop offering it? Which was, it was wrong. There was something wrong with my process, which was clients would pay for the e-design service, be really excited about it. They'd get their package, they'd go down that road, and they'd fizzle out and they wouldn't finish. Well, that leaves them with a bad taste in their mouth about you, or me in this case, as if I did something wrong, even though I fulfilled all of my promises to them. I gave them the package, exactly what they asked for. I gave them a chance to review it, get one round of revisions, gave them those. Everything looked great. Okay, bye. And I stopped there. And that was what was wrong. So then they would go and try to do the dirty work and the really not fun work of design, and would get overwhelmed. They'd get busy with work, school, life, kids, whatever the case may be, and fizzle out. And then in their minds, even though you didn't do anything wrong, it sort of falls on your shoulders. And I wasn't checking back in with them. So that was a big deal. And also, I mean, I was trying to build my portfolio, and truthfully, if that's your big goal, e-design doesn't do that super well unless you can have some sort of charter clients, I would maybe call them, where you can work in some accountability for them to finish and get some photos out of it, which we can talk about later. But so I wasn't following through with them, and they didn't have a finished project, and they felt like they had wasted money, even though I did everything that I said I was going to do. So one of the big changes that I've done since I relaunched it was I really thought about the follow through after they received their package and some hand holding. So what I currently do is I've beefed up my post-delivery service. So after they get their package, we set a date for them to hop on the phone with me, and we go over everything. I give them an opportunity to ask any questions. If they have some reselections or there are a few things that maybe fell flat for them, we identified those. I have loosely narrowed it down to, you can have up to 3 or 5 I call them additional options, not reselections. I'm pretty loose with that because there's sometimes things where I'm like, let's change that. So it's loose. You make that up to you. But I just think if you're going to dive into or get serious about providing e-design, these are things you need to think through your process. So, and I could start at the beginning and get to that part.
That's what I was just going to say. I want you to start from the beginning. I'm going to ask you some questions, and then where are you promoting specifically? Well, are you promoting specifically e-design anywhere? And if so, where?
Sure. That's actually something that I'm working on because it's new for me again. But currently it's promoted on my website, and I'm driving traffic there, but I've got some blog posts and social media planned coming up. But I do Google ads too. So that's another place where I'm trying to drive some traffic there, but I haven't quite honed that specific world of marketing, just the e-design. Right now I'm sort of casting a wide net, and as people come in, fielding them for their interest in e-design that way.
Okay, and do you give prices on your website for your e-design?
No.
Okay. Do you start your e-design with a 2-hour consult?
No.
Okay. So someone calls you, goes through your website, they click a button, or they're calling you?
Let me go back. Actually, if they are a local client, and let's say we do a 2-hour in-home consultation, and then we, in that process, learn that maybe full service is out of their reach. I don't know if that's a good way to put it, but that's, you know what I mean.
I actually like that.
Okay. So then I can use e-design and put that in my pocket as a backup plan. So it really doesn't matter where you live. Basically, it's a kit of parts is what it is. But it means I'm not meeting with tradespeople in your house. I'm not doing the ordering, and I'm not putting it together.
Okay. Okay. So I do want you to continue, but I want to go back and look at a couple of the questions.
Sure.
Okay. So Kiki's here. I was talking about her before. Okay. How do you keep from investing as much time in e-design as you do in the concept phase of full service? So we talked about this right before the broadcast.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. Kristen's asking, how do you keep from investing as much time in e-design as you do in the concept phase and full design? So the design phase, which you have your pricing model for, and I want to say, Kristen, just hold on a minute, because I'm going to walk Kate through letting her answer all those questions, because we talked about that before we went live, right?
Yeah.
How you calculate things. Okay. Tracy, yes, e-design and portfolio building is tough. It's tough, but it's doable. Mary Nolte. Hi, Mary. Mary's a color consultant. Just kind of leads with her color consulting, but can do full service design. So she's saying color consulting portfolio is tough too. Color consulting portfolio tough too. I'm assuming, Mary, you're talking about in doing e-design, like how do you evaluate the colors? So, all right, we're going to answer all those questions. So let's go to the next step. Someone calls you, they're local, you do your 2-hour paid consult. Then if full design is out of their reach, which I love the way you said that, you might, in your back pocket, have a ladder of services that's e-design to be able to present to them. If they go for it, great. And then if somebody calls you or comes through your website, connects with you through Instagram, however they connect with you, and they're out of your immediate area, something you can offer them is e-design. So you don't charge them for a consult. You would just offer them your e-design package. How do you offer that?
Sure. So I will briefly share what's included, like what they can expect at the end of our time together. Well, let me actually back up for a second. By the way, I am a verbal processor, so here we go. Once we decide that we're going to work together, the first step is it usually takes about an hour. a virtual tour of their home. So this is an opportunity for me to Skype, FaceTime, whatever, face-to-face with them, get to know their personalities, their family, their lifestyle. And I think that this is one of the key things that sets my service apart from the corporate e-design companies that are out there, the big players, so to speak, which I think is one of the hesitations that a lot of designers have. Is like, how can I compete with the cheap e-design out there? And the answer is you absolutely can. And this is one of the ways that you do it. It's by being boutique, and it's being personal, and it's being not generic. Like, you got to get to know these people, right? If you're a designer, it's important to get into their minds, their heads, their lives, and their hearts. So I spend a good amount of time before we even walk around the house just really understanding who they are and how they work, and connecting with them so they feel like I'm listening to them, because I am. Also, a lot of my clients are people with, young families like myself. And so I can connect with them on, having filthy kids and dogs and stuff like that. So that's, yeah. Does it end? So we start there, and then we take time to walk through the spaces that are being designed. And before we're done, I ask them to take me through the rest of the house. I want to see kind of what else is going on as well. I make sure to do it during the daytime. I ask them to hold their camera landscape. Some people need a little bit. I ask them to do it on a camera or an iPad versus a laptop, because people it's clumsy and you can't really see anything. Sometimes I can ask people if the tour didn't go super well because they were sort of fumbling or whatever. I can ask them, hey, do you mind just sending me a couple of videos along with your photos of the space to help me get a full understanding? Now, I'm a very spatially aware person. I can get a sense of a space pretty easily, even as a flat 2D drawing, where a lot of clients can't. So they struggle, and I have to just remind them, I got this. I know how space works, because that takes a little bit of a leap of faith on their part. Right. Okay, so then we do that tour. We've connected. I understand the space. They get what's called a client toolkit. And in the client toolkit, it has a reminder of what are they going to get when all is said and done, and then what is their immediate homework to get to me. And nothing can start until I get this stuff. So that is...
So this is all before you've gotten paid, or you...
Oh, no. This is... Did I skip that step?
Yeah, I want to skip over that part. So you speak to them on the phone first.
Yeah, we sell them on it. They say yes. I send them a small little contract. It's a edited version of my full service contract and an invoice, and they pay up front. I do have one client right now who I made an exception with, of offering her 2 payments, one to secure her spot and the second one to get started. So I don't do any design work until they get started, and they have to pay in full.
Thank you.
A lot of you guys are your own bosses. If you want to play around with that and get second payment, before the package gets mailed off, I've done that. We're not talking tens of thousands of dollars here. So they just need to pay you is kind of my feeling about it. But if it helps them to break that up into 2 bite-sized pieces, maybe you consider that. I do it on a case-by-case basis, but
I want to make sure we get to, before we get to the process, which we already started to touch on.
Sorry.
Kristen, no, that's okay. This is great information. I hope everyone will share this on their business pages or on their personal pages if you have interior designers who are friends, who are struggling with trying to figure out what they're looking to do. The e-design is hot. It's very hot. And Kate's sharing with us her process, which is invaluable. So thank you for that, Kate. I want to make sure we touch on Kristen, right? How do you keep from investing as much time in e-design as, which basically she's saying, how do you figure out how much to charge? I'm just going to say it like that.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you how I did it. The very first step, and I think this is critical in developing your e-design service, is to write out step by step by step by step every single part of your process. Use what you already know and account for your time. Okay, so you're going to have a sales call. You're going to have a virtual tour. That's an hour. You're going to have some follow-up emails, and just do the math and figure out, account for each and every moment. If it's a 15-minute increment, account for it. Don't write it off as not important. That's your time. And then whatever the minutes are, the hours are that you get from that. And, you know, for me, there's some things that I'm slower at and some things that I'm faster at, and all of you are going to be different. You know what you're spending on projects. Just be realistic about it, and write out that process for yourself and associate time with it. And then I multiply that by my hourly rate. So I work on an hourly fee, and because I'm not doing purchasing and I'm not making money on the purchasing itself, I actually have a more premium rate that I charge for a consultant only, and that's the rate that I use to multiply by my time, and that's where I come up with pricing. And then let me also mention my menu of rooms. I have a menu of rooms, so it's based on room type. So a bedroom is actually fairly simple. You've got a bed, you've got 2 nightstands, you've got a rug, maybe a small seating area, some dressers, lighting, you're done. A living room can be
Color?
Yeah.
Window treatment recommendations?
Yes, I do. Yeah. Basically, the only thing that's not included is, like, if you have any intention to do any demolition of walls, I can't design with that. That's remotely. That's way too much liability, and I don't recommend it. Also, if a client is doing a kitchen, because I do kitchens, what I provide are materials. I don't do a layout. Because what I tell them is, in the e-design service that I provide, it's all of your finished materials, but you can take that and shop it with other kitchen designers and have the kitchen company who's going to do your cabinetry lay it out, and they do it for free as long as you buy your cabinets through them.
Okay, wait. So I want to go back.
But that could be a whole other thing.
I know.
So I have a menu of service. So if it's a kitchen, it's one price because I know how many hours to expect to design for that. If it's a living room, it's a different number of hours, and it just goes down from there.
Okay, so you putting in, so you're going to say something like a living room is going to take me 20 hours. That includes you kind of included the original call you had. You're going to have a certain amount of get to know you calls. You're going to have the tour. You know how long it takes you to source things at places that they can actually click the link and buy. And then you know that you're going to do a certain amount of allowing them to switch items up. And then you know you're going to be doing your follow-ups, which we'll be talking about more. And you take all those hours and you multiply it by an hourly rate that's a little bit more premium than the local clients, perhaps, because, well, first of all, because you have a lot of unknowns there, and you are doing all that extra follow-up, and it could take you a little bit longer than you're estimating, but you don't tell them the hours. You just say, this is going to cost you $3,000.
It's the only flat rate service that I provide. Everything else is hourly. And I want to say right here that the best thing, well, you've taught me a lot of great things, but one of the best things is the timer. So I get hung up on going down rabbit holes, picking, a rug or this or that. And so I just finished a project about a week ago that I mailed off, and I had budgeted, I knew how many hours I had budgeted. And so I sat down, I'm like, okay, today I had 3 bedrooms to design for one house. And I knew I was working on 1 bedroom, and I said, okay, I've got 15 minutes to pick out a rug. And I'd set that timer. And even if I hadn't found that rug, for example, and by the way, if y'all aren't tracking your time for everything that you do, then that's going to be a big problem for you in being profitable. So even if I hadn't finished finding the rug, I just stopped and I said, okay, what's next? And I would go on, and inevitably two things would happen. Either I would end up coming back to the first thing that I picked and I ended up sticking with it and it worked, or I'd be on another website looking for something else, like a bed, for example, and there'd be an advertisement in the side, and I'd be like, ooh, there's a rug, because I knew I'd been looking for rugs, right? Google is Google.
The cookies get every time.
So then, something would come up, and I'd be like, oh, that's perfect. So wasting your time trying to find the perfect thing can be a rabbit hole, and can be a time suck. So, try to stick to your hours. And I will tell you, when I started using the timer based on your recommendation, I literally finished that project with 15 minutes to spare.
Nice.
I've never done that before.
It is a tip that I give to my clients, and it is a tip that I learned from Julie Duran, who is a process coach in my company, where she jumps in when I like her. Right? Yeah.
I've listened to her on your stuff.
Yes, she's so good. And this was a common problem that a lot of my designers were having. And as I have never been a full interior designer, I was in the interior design world, though, I had the same problem when we were sourcing art and accessories and framing. It's like you could just go down an art rabbit hole. So I can't even imagine. So I had called her up and I said, this is a big problem for everyone. She's like, oh, we use a timer. And I'm like, brilliant. So now I pass that on all the time.
Yeah, I have a little digital kitchen timer, and it stays on my computer, and it even has a little hook, and I put it right on the top of my laptop, and there's no ignoring it.
This is great too when you have employees and you're starting to train a new junior designer or employee.
So back in Denver, at one point I had 5 people working for me, and had I had timers going on them, we probably could have avoided some sticky issues. So get a timer. But I just I'm a more visual people, right? So having I tried doing my phone, but then I couldn't see it because the screen would go off. So having it's like a time bomb.
So I don't know, some people that might cause you more anxiety, but at the same time, and I always equate it to speed reading, right? Because when I was younger, and if you wanted to take a speed reading course, what they would do is throw up one line at a time on this projection board, like a book, one line at a time. And it starts out really slow, and you're reading, and all of a sudden it just starts to get faster. So it was like, wait, no, I'm not comprehending anything, and that's that.
But remember, if that starts to happen for you in this scenario, just remember, you can always come back to it, but just give it a break and move on to something else. And chances are the perfect thing is going to pop up. So.
Absolutely. Okay. So keep going. Where did we end off? You set your timer, how many hours, but I definitely want to get to the rest of your process because it's so fabulous. I love what you do. So you calculate, let's just call it 20 hours because it's the easiest thing.
Sure.
20 hours, you meet with them. Now you're in the design phase. How many weeks do you tell them it's going to take until they're going to get?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. And I recently thought about changing this, but I'm going to stick to my guns here. I do 6 weeks, even if I can get it sooner. If I literally had no interruptions, I could do this in 2 days. Put me in a hotel room and give me a bottle of wine, and I will crank this out for you.
And that'll be a funky design.
Yeah, and you're gonna love it. So I tell clients 6 weeks, under promise, over deliver, right? I heard that somewhere.
Many places. I'm one of the ones that say that.
No, I heard it from you first. And ideally get it to them sooner than they ask. Because what's going to end up happening is if you don't, you're going to scramble at the last minute, end up paying a ridiculous amount of money trying to overnight it to them. Well, okay, so I send a physical package, which we'll get to, but
you say 6 weeks, and let's say it takes you 4 weeks, but let's get to what you actually send them. So your e-design is sourcing, so you're charging based on a little premium of an hourly. You give them a price, they pay it, You say in 6 weeks, you'll get a package from me, and tell everyone what you send.
Sure. So they actually get 2 packages from me. The first one is actually a digital package, and it's a concept design. And I think that this is a step that a lot of designers skip, and you certainly don't get them in the corporate. I'm not going to name drop because there's a lot of people who could be working there, and that's fine. But there are other folks that don't do this. But I do a concept package, which includes it's like, number one, it's a mood board. So it's visually and graphically showing them the mood of the space and based on the conversations that you've had, number one. Number two, it's a program. So if you've been to interior design school, you know what a design program is. It's what are we doing? Okay, we're doing a bedroom. So we need a king size bed. We need, I'm just going to stick with the master bedroom thing because that's what I just finished. New dresser, new lighting, overhead, lamps, bedside tables, all bedding, rug, seating arrangement, little reading nook area, art, and accessories. And so that is included. Also, and I may have breezed over this, in their client toolkit, which gives them, excuse me, the how to draw a sketch of your room, and they email that to me, and photos, and it's called their homework, and I ask them to send everything back to me in one email. I don't want to get 10 emails and have to hunt it down every time. So they have to.
Not the great.
And I give them a deadline, and I usually send them the toolkit on a Thursday or Friday and ask to have it back by Monday morning so I can get started. I also have a budget or investment calculator, which is a Google Doc or a spreadsheet, so to speak. And if they don't have a budget in mind and they need to sort of workshop that a little bit, then I give them a budgeting toolkit. So I've got all of that, and that's how I start to design. So I take in their first round of what they get, which is digital. It's a PDF email. It includes the mood board. It includes a summary of what we've talked about. So, okay, we're going, and it could be just a little brief, like couple of sentence narrative. We're going for a mountain modern, because this is for my clients, repeat clients back in Denver, mountain modern master bedroom oasis retreat sexiness. I don't know.
Wow.
I mean,
I want to go there now.
I do too. I'm just shooting from the hip here. And here's what we're looking at getting. And you list out all the things that you guys have talked about. That gives them an opportunity to say, hey, you forgot that we also want a new whatever. And so just make sure that you've got all your ducks in a row so you can send them a package that they are wowed by.
Okay,
as well as
okay, go ahead. More things in this.
Well, then just the last thing is just a summary of their budget. And so we're looking at spending somewhere between X and X. I email that off to them and give them a couple of days to respond with any feedback that they have. And for example, the last one that I sent, I had included an image of a bedroom that had a dark blue wall. And, they gave me some really good feedback that said, Kate, our bedroom doesn't get a whole lot of natural light. And we kind of worry that maybe the idea of dark walls might not pan out well for this space. You need that kind of feedback before you go down the rabbit hole of designing a bunch of stuff that they're not going to love,
So you put together a mood board based on your initial conversation with them and whatever questions you asked and whatever they told you, the virtual tour, their lifestyle, anything they mentioned, you're giving them, this is a first concept. Please comment in detail on what you think.
Yes. Also, by this time, I have taken their sketches that they sent me back and I put them into my software program and created no furniture yet, just a shell with the dimensions on it. Just take a quick glance at that, make sure everything looks good. And they give, Okay. All right. I gotta go back. So
I
feel like I'm not doing, I should just pull out my what are they getting us?
So no, it's good, right? Because they pay you. You send them how to measure. It's kind of all in the toolkit. You send them back based on their measurements, a more detailed through your design programs. You give them a little bit more of a floor plan.
It's the first round is just the shell of the room.
Okay.
Right, because they did their own dimension. There's no furniture in there. You could choose to do placeholder furniture, just generic stuff like, okay, a bed here, this, that, and the other. But you're going to do that. You've got time to do that. You don't need to do that right away because it's distracting for them. I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend just have them sort of quality check the dimensions because they're not professional measurers.
And what software do you use, Mary?
I use SketchUp and Layout.
Okay, SketchUp and Layout. Okay, and then you send them that initial package with it, which is your mood board and
called a concept design package, mood board, room, the shell, the drawings of the room, the program, which includes, okay, this is what we're doing, and the budget. This is what we're aiming for. And give them a chance. And I think it's a little bit of information to absorb. So give them the weekend and a business day. I'd give them at least 3 days to kind of look at that. But definitely set deadlines for them because otherwise you can derail this real quick. I also, at the outset of a project, when we're doing that initial virtual tour, we set up dates for everything. So all of those milestones, when they can expect when I can expect their homework, when they can expect a concept package, when I expect feedback from the concept package. And then from there, you've got about 4 weeks to do the design. You deliver that. And then a date for, a phone call. And then, I give them 30 days of email support. So we'll get to that in the next step. So okay. I lay out all of those milestones at the outset. And honestly, it not only protects your sanity and allows you to control the process, number one, plan around other projects that you have going on, but it also gives them, I think, a sense of trust in you that you've got a plan and it's not willy-nilly.
You're not expectations, which is key to any job.
Well, and I think that's super important in e-design because you're not in their house. And I think you have to work extra hard at developing trust in them, with them, that you're going to do what you say you're going to do and that it's going to be quality and that you really have their best interest in heart. And I think that means just a high level of touch points. You may even choose to deliver that concept design through a video chat like this, give it to them and choose to do it like this and more interactive. For me, it's not what I do, but maybe for you, that's just another step up of service that you provide. And the service is everything with e-design because it's going to set you apart from, the cheap guys.
Right. And I love the fact that it's personalized and you can film your screen to show them. You can talk them through why you chose things and send that as a distinguishing factor for yourself. Actually,
early on, I did do a video where I couldn't quite present in person with them, but I did a video. So I opened it up with it was as if I was there. I did a webcast or screen video cast of my screen, and I walked them through the concept design, and then I did it again for the final design. For me, personally, it took too much time because of my skill set. Maybe you're really strong in those areas, so you can crank something out like that really fast. And so I took that out because I found that I was having to charge more for my time than people were willing to pay for. Gotcha. When I could really just deliver it, let them review it, and then we'll chat about it after you've had a chance and ask questions. So
okay, so
you can play with it. There's options.
There's definitely options, and I think you have to go with what you said. What are your strengths, or what can you get better at quickly that makes you different from somebody else? Especially the big guys who provide e-design, because you are charging more. If you're actually doing the design work and you're figuring 20 hours and you're timesing that by your hourly rate, whether it's $150 or $250, you need to then deliver that quality of service to them because they're still going to be doing the purchasing themselves. So you guys aren't getting that markup unless you use, there are companies out there that you can source from that they give you a little piece of the pie. But again, that's your choice. But let's talk about, I love, to me, your distinguishing factor, besides everything else you've said, is what they actually get at the end of the 6 weeks or earlier, if possible. Talk about that.
Sure. So, and like I said, I didn't create this overnight. This, everything that I do sort of was born, not everything, but a lot of it was born out of trial and error. And on one of my early e-design projects, I learned that my client didn't have a printer at home, which sort of seems weird to me, but I'm a designer, so I use a lot of printer. So she was going back and forth between the specifications and the drawings and then the digital package that I had sent, and just like had all these little screens open on her laptop. To me, that sounds very difficult to navigate between and back and forth through. And so I didn't learn this until after the fact, like weeks later, when she just mentioned that, she didn't have a printer. And so I said, that's it. I'm going to put together a physical package that they receive that's a substantial, beautiful package that they get in the mail. And let's be honest, let's look at all of the companies right now where people are in love with getting stuff in the mail. I'm so sorry.
On my show. Last week, all the power was like, oh my God, you just said shit. That means I can say it too. I'm like, go ahead. It was so funny. So yes, you're allowed to say that. We're a PG-13 show, I guess.
Okay. I don't even know what I was saying. I lost my train of thought.
Creating the package that you send to them.
I wanted them to be able to get, you see all these companies out there who are delivering stuff in the mail, and people really want the thrill of coming to the mail again or getting a package. And so it's totally in line with what we see going on a broader global market of like getting all these kits delivered to your home. You can get a shave kit, you can get a science kit, an art kit, clothes, whatever. Like, why not your food? Yeah. Why not have the design of your home delivered, but in a really thoughtful, curated way? So if you're concerned about, where does this fit in the marketplace, I think it fits really well. So they get I wish I had a box. I don't have one on me, but it's not too dissimilar from this one, which I can grab in a second. But it's a physical box. It's beautiful. And on the inside, they get everything is printed on really nice, high quality paper. I happen to have a laser printer here, and I use really high quality paper in my office, which I have. You could also send it to FedEx or Kinko's, something like that. But they get their furniture layouts. So that includes everything is to scale, drawn to scale, and it shows how everything is going to fit together. So they have confidence that you've chosen items and pieces that are going to fit well within this space, because that's a lot of times their biggest problem is like, I don't know how everything's going to fit together, and they end up buying things that are too big or too small. People have a hard time with scale. So that's your expertise. You got to be able to show them that everything fits. This is all assuming that you're using design software that you're doing everything to scale. And if you don't know that, then I don't think this is going to work for you. So furniture layouts, number one. Number two is their design board. So that is showing them all of the elements. You guys probably already do this in many of your designs. It's showing all of the elements that you're suggesting. So let's take, I could reach down here and grab one and pull it up, but I don't think you'd be able to see it. You can go on my website and see examples of it. If you go to my last blog post, which is called an inside look, what was it? Behind the scenes, an inside look at my design process. So that is...
Tell them your website, and you can put it in the comments when we're done.
Sure. It's katebendewald.com. And if you go to my blog, it was the post from this week or last week. I'm not sure. But now that's full service, but you can still get imagery of what is included, just as an example. So the design board shows all of the elements put together. So let's take the bedroom example. We've got a bed, we've got a rug, we've got nightstands, lamps, ceiling fixture, curtains, chair, side table, lamp, art, accessories, pillows, all of that. I keep it pretty simple. I just show all of those elements together because I've got supporting documentation that they're going to get that's going to give them the details of that. So then the next thing that they get is a schedule, a furniture schedule. And so you guys might be using software like Ivy or Harvest or Gather. I use Gather, which I really love. And that includes all of the specs for everything. So here's the information on the bed. This is where to get it. There's a link to it. It's labeled F1, for furniture 1. And on that floor plan, you can see F1 is pointing to the bed. So then you go to the thing. So it all relates together. It works together, which you guys are probably all familiar with. And so there's clipped together a bundle of all of their specifications. And these are all paper copies. And this is really helpful for them to make notes on, to discuss with their partner, and decide what they love and what they don't. And then it's all loose leaf paper. I mean, I don't bind it together. You could choose to do that, but I like giving it to them in a binder clip. That way they can pull out the ones that are no's or questions or whatever, yeses, and they can kind of sort it for themselves. Give them some room to work in the ways that feel better for them. Next, material samples. So we shouldn't be designing with color and texture on the computer screen. So you should be ordering, and this is another reason why that 6 weeks is really critical, is you should be ordering samples. Even if you're ordering specifying from West Elm or Crate and Barrel or big box stores, they'll send you samples. Order them, get them there, and package them together.
This
and
is
send
my
them
favorite part, by the way. This is my favorite part. That in this,
if I'm doing a kitchen, which I do, I'm including countertop materials. Also, if you're doing a kitchen, you should charge a premium because the weight of that box is going to be more. So, side note.
And let's wait. Let me pause for 1 second because I want to go back to. Did you say layout software? You said SketchUp and
Layout. So if you have SketchUp Pro, Layout comes with it. SketchUp is your 3D modeling software. Layout is what's going to give you your beautiful drawings that you can do with annotations and dimensions. You can't do that in SketchUp.
Perfect.
And by the way, I could teach a class on that. So let me know if you want to do that.
I might have you do that. Okay. And then Heather says her long distance clients. Oh, I'm starting to echo. That happens once in a while. My long distance clients get a 2-inch binder full of what they need to move ahead. I have seen really cool boxes. Okay. Kristen, which I think you just answered the question for that. Do you account for the hard costs of the box and the printouts and mailing in your fee for e-design? And we really kind of talked about that, but touch base.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I should have mentioned it earlier, and I did have it in my notes to talk about today. I definitely account for the cost to ship the box itself, any packaging materials that go with it. And I actually learned a lesson this last time, just based on where I live, things actually cost more to ship from where I am. And I didn't account properly for that. So I had to eat a little bit of that cost. So moving forward, I've got to change that somewhat. What else do I account for? Material sample, if people are buying, this is another thing. If you're designing for DIY buyers, let's just say wallpaper, for example, you might be sourcing from a place like Spoonflower versus Schumacher. So a lot of those companies, because they're catering towards retail clients, they're going to charge for their samples. It's harder to get free complimentary physical samples of wallpaper because people take advantage of it. So I build in a budget of about $20 for buying samples. A lot of them I have here, but like last time I did Spoonflower and I ordered 2 $5 wallpaper samples. And so account for that. But you got to figure out, do some math. Designers are so surprised we have to do math. We do math all the time.
You do math all the time. Tracy says, love this box idea. I can't wait to see what it looks like.
Yeah. And I will tell you, just I'll tell you what I use. And you can get them on Amazon. You can get them on the Container Store, the Bigso, Bigso company. I love their stuff even for organizing my office. They make nice, high quality boxes that are sturdy and feel good in the hand. You know, it feels substantial. It's like that thump factor. So I like theirs, and they make some big ones. I've got a big one sitting here, but I think it's too big. Depending on the project, like for a kitchen project, that would probably be good. Do you want me to grab it and show it to you real quick?
Sure.
It's arm's reach. Hang tight.
Okay.
Hold on.
Got to put the headphones back in.
Yeah. Okay. So this is what I used to use. It's quite substantial,
Seen that.
and but it would fit everything that I needed inside. And I would sometimes use like a shredded, like that crepe paper. That sounds cheesy, but it just like fluffed it. Like I just wouldn't put this bunch of blank papers in here. I would make it look nice with tissue paper or whatever. You really need to think about the branding and design of your boxes. So if I was doing a kitchen, I would do something like this because you're going to have bulkier materials. Big So makes a smaller box that I like to use that is like a flip fold open box. So, and they come in different colors and they're just nice looking. And they have these little labels on the front that you can sort of customize and put your client's name.
I love everything about this. I have to tell you, I love everything about this.
Well, and I know we're running out of time. There's something I want to make sure to not gloss over, right? We have a few minutes left. Okay,
Yeah,
so what if I can, I'll just say that the real deciding factor that it makes this exciting for people is that you can't just deliver the package and leave it at that. You've got to build into your process a follow-up service. So for me, I include a handwritten note in this on the top of the box that says, hey, I know you're excited to open this, but I'm going to urge you to just stop for a second, go put the kids to bed, pour yourselves a glass of wine, make it special. You've just invested in yourself and you should be proud of yourself. And I am so grateful to be able to offer this to you. And I can't wait to get your feedback. I hope you love it. That right there, like,
little touch.
they love it. So that's number one. Number two,
I'm surprised you don't include the bottle of wine in the box.
I actually, for my local clients, I deliver it in on their doorstep with a bottle of wine. So
love it. See these finishing touches? This is what allows you to charge a premium price, and that personalized service is what people still want in e-design. They don't want to pay. I mean, the ones who want to pay $150, $350 for a room, they're not your ideal clients. Even
they're not, and you get what you pay for it. That's just, that's just a fact. Yes. Secondly, they know that they get the follow-up call with me with an opportunity for reselections. So if they get the package and there's something in there that's just for them, like they don't feel like it's a waste. They have an opportunity and a forum to make it right. Let's make it great. Okay, it's good, but we want great. So you have that, and then I give them 30 days of email support, and that's what they think they're getting, but I try to check in with them weekly for the next month just to say, hey, and I usually do it about a Thursday because that way they've gotten through their work week, the big heavy hitting stuff.
Yes.
A lot of times people are focusing more on personal matters that time of the week. Send them an email on Thursday. They get a chance to think about it by Friday or through the weekend and get some feedback. It happened to me today, and I was able to say, absolutely, I'm so sorry that didn't quite work out, that you knew that was part of the deal. Monday afternoon, I'll get you something. So giving them the opportunity not only to know that they can reach out to you, because that was feedback that I got from a client who was like, I didn't know if I could call you because I thought we were done. And I'm like, oh, of course you could have called me. So that was a way that I've corrected course there, and just make sure that you hold their hand and you nurture them, because that's what people need. They don't want to feel like they're just left to do it on their own, and life gets busy and they're gonna stall out, and you just need to check back in with them.
I love everything about this because you're giving them basically full service design feeling, but you're giving them the tough part of ordering, getting it delivered, correcting things if it's damaged. Like, you're out of that part, which is a lot of what the many designers are coming to me at this point. Like, I hate it. Like, I love being a designer, but I'm starting to really resent that part of it. And if they can do the e-design right, like you've set up, I think that that is another stream of income for them that will give them a little bit of relief in their life and give them that balance back. That level of service that you're giving them is so incredibly important that I think that's really what's distinguishing you from the next guy. I just want to read how many change. I think you discussed this before briefly, but how many change requests do you allow? Sunny is asking. Before you freeze the design and make it final. Now, I think I heard from you before saying you say to them a certain amount, but you do go above and beyond if you have a client who is reasonable but particular.
You use your judgment. I tell them 1 round of revisions. If somebody comes back to me and scraps the whole design, I know that I've screwed up. I've done something wrong. So most people are reasonable. And I say, you just limit it to 1. Personally, I limit it to 1 round. I used to limit it to like 3 or 5 elements, but that felt too constricting. So if you can't get it right by the 2nd round of revisions, then there's something else going on.
Good point. All right, let's see if there's anything else. Heather says, with the first phase of my long distance project, the clients said they'd work with me again as the home gets built. What is cool? My client sends me updates every 2 months. Exactly. See, this is the thing, guys. If you're doing this right, and you don't know necessarily what that client will need in the future, that could be a future e-design client, or it could be a future client that says, you know what, we just love you and we're flying you here. Could you imagine? That would be the best thing.
Precisely. And I'll add this last e-design project that I had was a past client in Denver, and I moved out of town and they didn't want to work with anybody else. So if life throws you curves balls and you end up moving, like, that doesn't mean that you don't have the capacity to work with those clients again. You just change the framework. And I would just want to add one more thing. Never, ever, ever, ever be late with delivering the package when you say you're going to deliver it.
Yes. Yes. Or if, God forbid, something very emergency happens in your life, you need to communicate immediately with them. Let them know there may be a delay. Okay, one last question, and then we're going to say goodbye. And people are still asking questions.
That's fine. Y'all can email me personally, and I'll answer. And I'm just going to hold this up. Read this book because it's also where I learned
to charge what you're worth.
Yeah, well, and to be boutique and add service. Go ahead. What's the question?
How do you handle custom window treatments in e-design?
I can answer that briefly. I would say they are semi-custom. So I find sources like blinds.com, because we're talking about people who are generally in a value-driven budget framework. You may have your sources. A higher-end one could be, I'm spacing it. Give me a second. But you can create a budget for them. Say, use this material. Say you've got your shade design picked out, and then you give them the dimensions. You can tell them how much it's going to cost, but they have to go in and like specify it online, or they can, the shade stores who I was trying to think of. And so you can budget everything for them and tell them what fabric to use or what shade material to use. But they would have to go through and put in the specifications themselves on the website and order it. I always tell them, remember guys, you're responsible for all of your measurements. Make sure you double, triple check everything, because I'm not responsible, you are. If they want to outsource that to a professional locally, they can do that. And also just know that, like, we're not doing fully custom drapes in an e-design project. There are limitations to it in that way.
Okay, one last question. I'm going into John Tedesco's happy hour. He saw me doing weekend wind downs many moons ago. I don't even know how long ago. I don't think it's been quite a year yet. And he's just like, I love this idea, Nancy. I'm gonna start my own show. So he does 5:30. So sometimes we overlap. And Tracy,
I'll go there next.
Yeah, weekend. He does a happy hour with John. He usually hops on here, but he didn't hop on today. Tracy Taylor says, so good point. Did you speak about after photos and how you handle them? Are you able to get after photos? Do you request them? Or do you not worry about it? It's e-design and you put up as samples your drafts or your renderings or things like that?
Sure. I would say, generally speaking, e-design is not going to provide you with gorgeous before and after pictures. If you have somebody that's local, you could consider investing your own time, money, and energy to go in and tweak it a little bit and take some nice photos, and then use their ask for a review or recommendation from them and sort of pair that together. But generally speaking, it's not going to be a great source for stunning before and after pictures. That said, if you were really serious about making this your world, your everything that you did, I would consider creating some, 2 or 3 what I would consider charter projects, and asking them, setting up some situation where they've got some accountability and you provide them with an incentive that, and these are your go-getters, the people who really want like that. People love to be seen and known, and and if you can stroke their ego a little bit and just say, like, you'll be featured as, this or that, whatever, you set it up how you like, but create an offering where you do e-design for someone and there's an expected outcome of after photos, but they're accountable and you provide an incentive, and get a couple of those under your belt to really showcase what you can do with e-design. I think it could be a good option.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I'm long-winded.
This has never happened. My fax machine just went off during a broadcast. It's actually never happened. I never unplugged that thing.
What's a fax machine?
Exactly. What's a fax machine? Why do I still have it? That's a good question. And I don't even use it anymore. So yeah, I got to unplug it and get rid of that number.
Somebody's using it.
I'm old. What do I get on there? I get junk, like I get on my cell phone when, the junk email.
I'm kidding. I need my kids' immunization records. And by the way, don't judge me because I immunize my kids. But I'm trying to get them from Denver, and they're like, we can't email them to you. We can only fax. And I'm like, I don't have a fax machine. I'll fax them to you. How about, and you can just mail them to me. Will that work?
And you know what? That's basically why I needed it when I was running Expressive Living here and there. Some of the art suppliers were still using fax. And then when I had started to sell my house, it's no longer for sale, but it may go up for sale again. I needed the fax machine to submit paperwork. And I was like, I might as well just keep the thing. It doesn't matter. Anyway, you did remarkable. And I know I've spoken to you about doing Facebook Lives for growing your own business. And I wanted to introduce you to Facebook Live by doing my weekend wind down. So now I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. And you need to start doing Facebook Lives, because lives do connect, and you have an incredible service, you have an incredible history, a great business sense, you're a great designer, and you have a great process. And it's time to bust out and just go for it.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Well, a lot of that is thanks to you. And I just want to say to the people that are watching and listening that I love to teach, I love to share. So any questions that they have, they're welcome to, there's a contact form on my website, which is katebendewald.com, and just shoot me an email and I'll share what I know. My last name's a weird spelling. I don't know if it's on the screen somewhere, but
on the screen. Yep.
Okay, cool. Yep. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for all the watchers, everyone saying goodbye. Have a great weekend, guys. And next week on Weekend Wind Down, I'm actually having a lawyer, David Adler. If you haven't heard him, he's going to be talking all about contracts, which are all our favorite subjects. So thank you, Kate. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Don't forget to share the broadcast if it was helpful to you. And I'll see you guys all next week. Bye.
Bye, Nancy.
Bye, Kate.